On your wedding day, you were publicly rejected. Your fiancée, Empress Long Tianxiao, announced her decision to marry another, declaring you unworthy due to your lack of spiritual roots and inability to cultivate. How could the mighty Empress of Tianwu marry a waste? But she didn't know you weren't a waste at all. Hidden within you was the rare scholar's divine constitution. With its power, you could achieve sainthood through the study of knowledge and the righteous energy it cultivated. Years later, as you return triumphant, she regrets her decision and begs for reconciliation. But you reply with only a single word: leave. Just moments ago, Long Tianjiao ascended to the throne, surrounded by the ministers and generals of the empire. Celebrations filled the air. Standing before the court, she made an announcement: today marks not only my coronation but also the declaration of my marriage. The court buzzed with speculation. Many believed this was the fulfillment of her earlier promise to wed you upon her ascension. You, too, couldn't help but smile faintly, recalling her words: the day I ascend the throne will be the day we marry. Yet beside her stood the holy son of Tianhuang, whose smirk sent a chill down your spine. Before your loyal attendant could warn you, Long Tianjiao continued: tomorrow, I shall wed the holy son of Tianhuang. The hall fell into stunned silence. Everyone stared in disbelief. Wasn't he the Empress's fiancé supposed to be you? Your smile froze as you stared at her on the imperial throne. She met your gaze with cold indifference, declaring: I summoned you here today to dissolve our engagement. Tomorrow, as I marry the holy son, your title as my fiancé would only bring disgrace. Your voice cracked as you asked: then all those words of love, were they lies? Of course, she replied without hesitation, even mocking you. Did you really think I would marry a man who can't cultivate? I needed your strategies to clear the obstacles to my throne. But now that I've achieved my goal, what use are you? The court erupted in jeers and laughter. Ministers echoed her words: the Tianwu Marquis is unworthy. After a long silence, your voice grew icy: I helped you rise to power. Don't think I can't tear it all down. Long Tianjiao sneered. And what will you use to destroy me? Your worthless books. You smiled faintly and turned to leave. Behind you, mockery and disdain filled the air. Your attendant hurried after you, worry etched on her face. Young master, are you all right? You stopped and gazed into the distance. I'm fine, you replied calmly. It's merely time to settle old accounts. Settle them? She asked, confused. You shook your head, a cold glint flashing deep within your eyes. Years of effort and loyalty, only to be publicly humiliated and stripped of everything on this day. Worse, they planned to imprison you within the palace walls. How could your heart remain unmoved? But you had long mastered the art of concealing your emotions. A calm exterior was the sharpest weapon, one that left enemies grasping at shadows. Leave, you said, your tone calm as you turned to your loyal attendant. The life debt I owed you for saving me 2.5 years ago has been repaid. There's no need for you to remain. She shook her head resolutely. I want to leave. Wherever you go, I go. You regarded her silently for a moment, then nodded. Very well. Rest tonight. Tomorrow, a great battle awaits. As night fell, you wandered the imperial palace alone, traversing every corner. At key locations, you hid weapons and had your attendant infuse them with energy. Though she didn't fully understand your intentions, she never questioned your orders. The grand wedding between Long Tianjiao and the holy son of Tianhuang proceeded as scheduled. From the start, Long Tianjiao ordered the imperial guards to eliminate you under the guise of thwarting an assassin. Yet within moments, the 100 guards she dispatched fell to the unseen wind shadow guards under your command. In the wedding hall, as Long Tianjiao and the holy son prepared to complete their vows, their expressions suddenly darkened. Outside, your voice rang out: Your Majesty's grand wedding, how could I not offer my congratulations? All heads turned as you strode forward, your attendant close behind. Long Tianjiao's face changed instantly, a complex mix of emotions flashing across her eyes. She murmured under her breath, even the Grand Master and 100 elite guards couldn't stop him. The Holy Son's expression turned grim. Guards! Seize the traitor! He barked. A wave of Imperial guards surged toward you, encircling you completely. Yet your expression remained calm, your steps unhurried. Suddenly, the air shimmered as figures emerged from the void, your wind shadow guards launching a ruthless counterattack. Long Tianjiao's face darkened. They've been hiding in the void all along, even I didn't notice. The captain of the Imperial Guard leapt forward, his sword slicing through one wind shadow guard, only to discover it was a puppet. Strike after strike revealed the same, every wind shadow guard was an expertly crafted puppet. Realization dawned across the hall, these legendary assassins, feared across the empire, were merely your ingenious constructs. The disciples of Tianhuang Holy Land surged forward, attempting to halt your advance. But your attendant sneered, her hands unleashing the dual forces of ice and fire. She froze some in place while incinerating others, holding the line without faltering. The Holy Sun's eyes narrowed in shock. Ice and fire in perfect harmony, an ice-fire sanctuary disciple. He couldn't fathom how such a powerful figure from the renowned ice-fire sanctuary would willingly serve as your attendant. Drawing his long blade, the Holy Sun sent waves of dark, ferocious energy crashing toward the icy spikes and blazing flames. But each strike was neutralized by your attendant's mastery of ice and fire. Meanwhile, you continued forward, your pace steady and unyielding, your gaze cold and indifferent. No guard, no disciple, no force could stand in your way as you made your way toward the Grand Hall of Tianwu. The Holy Son of Tianhuang frowned slightly. You are also in the heavenly man realm. I think you are the ice and fire saint Li Shiking. The maid saw that her identity was exposed and took off her mask, revealing a perfect face. Long Tianjiao is already a peerless beauty. But this maid's face is even better than Long Tianjiao's. The ice and fire saint. Long Tianjiao suddenly realized. I didn't expect your maid to be the holy mother of the ice and fire holy land. For the sake of the saint, I will give you one last chance. After that, she took out another lock and threw it over. You took it? The lock looked at you. Heart control lock. You want to control me to be your leader. Long Tianjiao did not deny it. Bring him with you. I and your emperor are suitable for the position of prime minister. Ice and fire saint emperor. The saint girl obeys your orders. If you can control you with the heart control lock, it is equivalent to having another ice and fire saint emperor to support you. You smiled indifferently. Put the heart control lock into the Sumi ring. After all, it is a good treasure. It may be useful in the future. Then you looked up at Long Tianjiao. Do you still remember what I said to you before? Life and death are precious. Love is expensive. Long Tianjiao said indifferently. Those are just your words to look down on my mind. Do you think that you can move me with just these two sentences? You shook your head. In fact, there are two more sentences behind it. It is called if you are a free bone, you can throw away both. I stayed in this deep palace cage for you. Now that you have broken off the engagement, I will naturally pursue my freedom. But before that, I will give you two wedding gifts. What do you want to do? Long Tianjiao frowned slightly and asked in a deep voice. You said lightly. The first wedding gift is of course to suppress the Tianwu Empress. I want you, the proud Empress, to make scholars not be bullied. Long Tian's eyes suddenly became cold. Just a commoner who can only read but not practice wants to suppress me. After that, he raised his hand and pressed the sky and the earth with a palm. The spiritual energy surged in the air and condensed into a 10-foot-long energy palm. In the palm of the palm, there was endless sword energy shuttling. The power of this palm has surpassed the full-strength attack of the 9th-level Grandmaster. The one who is fighting with the son of Tianhuang in the Ice and Fire Saint, the matter was shocking. The young master is just a scholar. How can he withstand this terror? Long Tianjiao looked at you with a calm face and asked. If my palm falls, even a 9th-level Grandmaster can't bear it. I ask you what you have to suppress me. Just because I have studied for 20 years. You said lightly. Then you raised your foot and took a step forward. The momentum on your body suddenly exploded. The dancer felt the breath on you. Long Tianjiao was stunned. A waste without spiritual roots could actually become a dancer. But even if he is a dancer, how can he be qualified to face a heavenly man like me? You looked indifferent and took another step forward. The momentum suddenly exploded. He directly reached the realm of a martial artist. He actually became a martial artist. Didn't they say that he had no spiritual roots and couldn't practice? All the officials were stunned and couldn't believe it. Long Tianjiao's eyes condensed. Did you take some kind of elixir from the ice and fire holy land, so that's it? I said you had no spiritual roots. How could you practice to become a warrior? Everyone suddenly realized it. You ignored everyone, but taking the third step, you are one step closer to Long Tianjiao. With this step, your aura surges to the level of a grandmaster. Before everyone can recover from their shock, you take another step, and your body soars into the air, standing in the air opposite Long Tianjiao. Your aura has already reached the level of a grandmaster. He is actually a grandmaster. Does the Holy Land have elixirs that can directly elevate an ordinary person to the level of a grandmaster? All the officials and disciples of the Holy Land were also shocked. Even the Tianhuang saint in the battle Zi and Li Shiking were also stunned. You are actually a grandmaster. You are really well hidden. Long Tianjiao's face was gloomy. A strong sense of uneasiness emerged in his heart. Your Majesty, please act quickly. The voice of the Holy Son of Tianhuang sounded. You asked for this. Long Tianjiao took a deep breath. The snow-white palm slowly pressed down. The huge energy in the sky. The palm also crushed down. Endless sword energy shuttled in the palm. It was extremely terrifying. But you ignored it. Instead, in the incredible eyes of everyone, you raised your foot again. And in the void took a step forward. A terrifying aura rose up into the sky. It overwhelmed the whole audience. Then you slapped out a righteous aura with your palm. To attract the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, it turned into a huge fist that rose up into the sky and smashed the sword energy palm. Tianren mirror. Those Tianhuang Holy Land disciples and palace guards were all stunned. This waste actually became Tianren mirror. Tianhuang Saint's son had a gloomy face. He couldn't figure out how you did it. Young master is so powerful. Li Shiking was also stunned. But more excited. Tianren mirror. Long Tianjiao's face was full of unbelievable, even his emotions became a little bit. I have the best sword spirit root. I practice hard every day. It took more than 10 years to become a celestial being. How can you, a useless person without spirit root, who can't practice and only knows how to read every day, become a celestial being? That's because reading can also lead to the celestial being. You look indifferent and speak indifferently. Reading can also lead to the celestial being. Long Tianjiao muttered, his eyes a little confused. If reading can lead to the celestial being, why should he practice so hard this? At this moment, his faith was shaken. The saint of Tianhuang also couldn't believe that you could reach the realm of heaven and man by reading. Everyone only knew that you read all day, but they didn't know that you read to cultivate the noble spirit and hope to become a saint as soon as possible. You have been reading secretly since you were a baby and cultivated the noble spirit for 20 years. According to your estimation, another 20 years of cultivation will be enough to enter the realm of saints. A 40-year-old saint, this cultivation speed, is enough to rank in the top 10 in the history of the entire Tianhui continent. It's a pity that Long Tianjiao broke off the engagement, put you under house arrest and killed you. You had to use this noble spirit in advance. The world is so big, and there are all kinds of things. Who said that reading can't make you a heaven and man? You looked at Long Tianjiao and said lightly, you said I can't practice, I'm a waste, so you want to break off the engagement and kill me. Little did you know that I can become a heaven and man in an instant. So this is what you rely on. Long Tianjiao finally came back to his senses from the confusion. Looking at you in front of him, his face was extremely ugly. But after a moment, his eyes changed again. Langley fighting depends not only on cultivation, but also on martial arts. You can learn a lot from reading, but how much can you use if you don't know martial arts? After saying this, a long sword appeared out of thin air in his hand. The long sword shone with cold light, exuding a powerful aura. It was the 9th level weapon Tianhui sword. 9th level weapons are the highest level of weapons. The next level is magic weapons. Magic weapons require a realm above heaven and man to exert their power. Or people with special bloodlines can also use special magic weapons in advance. Long Tianjiao raised the Tianhui sword high. A strong true essence poured in. The Tianhui sword turned into a dazzling sword king and rushed straight into the sky. The clouds above thousands of miles in the sky exploded. In an instant, lightning and thunder roared. It was as if the end of the world was coming. The same as the heavenly realm, the holy son of Tianhuang and the holy maiden of Binghuo, unexpectedly also felt a great pressure. Is this the blessing of the power of destiny? The holy son of Tianhuang looked up at the sky. There was an inexplicable light flashing in his eyes. Is it the power of destiny? The holy maiden of Binghuo murmured to herself. The emperor of the empire has the power of destiny in the imperial capital. The fighting power far exceeds that of the bronze mirror. How can you deal with my sword? Long Tianjiao looked proud. He waved the Tianwu sword in his hand. The heavenly sword kills blood. An unparalleled giant sword slowly emerged from the clouds thousands of miles high. Shocking lightning lingered around it. As the giant sword slowly fell, the terrifying sword intent swept across and pressured the entire Tianwu city. Everyone looked up at the sky above the palace. As the giant sword fell, it seemed that the whole world was crushing it together. The soul was standing there, and you, who were in it, felt a terrible will locking yourself in and unable to dodge. You looked up and said in a calm tone. The heavenly sword is said to be indestructible without fog, but it is not unstoppable. After that, you waved your hand. The surging energy surged around and condensed into a layer of white shield. The giant sword carrying lightning fell on the shield, making a deafening sound, causing the entire Tianwu city to shake violently. Those disciples of the Holy Land in awe on the square, in this terrifying wave of sword energy instantly, the strength was gone. The saint of Tianhuang and the saint of Binghuo were both in the same plan. Naturally, they would not be injured. Just the sword energy that leaked out had such a terrifying power. How powerful would the attack of that giant sword be? The saint of Tianhuang and the saint of Binghuo turned their heads and looked at you. But they were both stunned. They saw that the white shield outside your body was flickering under the attack of the giant sword, but it stubbornly withstood all the attacks. You still had your hands behind your back and looked calm. Young master is so powerful. Li Shiking's beautiful eyes were full of the little star of worship. How is it possible? The saint of Tianhuang was full of disbelief. He asked himself, if it was him, he would definitely not be able to block this sword. A person who learned from reading books actually blocked the heavenly sword so easily. The eyes of Long Tianxiao, who was holding the heavenly sword, were full of surprise. The saint of Tianhuang and the holy lady of ice and fire were both stunned. This is a 9th grade top grade martial art, which is said to be indestructible and can resist any martial art. Long Tianxiao maintained the heavenly sword while being shocked. This is my Long family's unique skill. How did you learn it? You said lightly. As long as I have read martial arts, I can perform them. On the wedding day, the Empress not only broke off the engagement with you in public, but also threw you a collar, wanting you to be a slave. Little did she know that you are a saint of reading, and through the righteousness, you can win in one fell swoop. Just when the Empress wanted to suppress you forcefully, you made a plan with 1 step, and reached the heavenly plan in 5 steps. Not only that, you can master all martial arts as long as you have seen them once. At this moment, Long Tianxiao and the saint of Tianhuang were all submerged. They are all geniuses. Practicing a martial arts skills also need a long time of effort. But you can perform them just after reading them. Is this still a human? After a moment of silence, endless murderous intent emerged from the saint of Tianhuang. A guy who can kill everyone with his wits. Now he has the supreme talent for cultivation. Just thinking about it makes my scalp numb. Long Tianjiao waved the Tianwu sword in his hand. Sword chi condensed in the sky. Each sword chi exuded a powerful momentum. You smiled calmly. With a wave of your hand, sword chi condensed in the sky. Each sword chi exuded a powerful momentum. The momentum released is no worse than Long Tianjiao's. 10,000 swords merge into one. Long Tianjiao's eyes condensed. Endless sword energy gathered and merged into one. The momentum overlapped. You just uttered a word lightly. Endless sword energy also merged instantly. With a loud bang, the two sword energies collided with each other. The deafening sound spread throughout Tianwu city. Everyone subconsciously covered their ears. Their faces showed pain and awe of the commander. The Grand Masters among the disciples of the Holy Land roared in despair. Before the sword energy swept over, they cut off the head of the guard commander. The sword energy swept over and killed all the Grand Masters. and the void above the palace was torn apart by the collision of these two terrifying sword energies, and terrifying void cracks appeared. Long Tianjiao's face was gloomy. He used several other equally powerful martial arts again. But no matter how he changed, you could use the same martial arts with a wave of your hand, and the power was no worse than his. You must know that he has the imperial charm. The power of the martial arts you displayed was far beyond the ordinary. But you didn't have the power of aura to bless you. You could still exert such terrible power. It was really unbelievable and incomprehensible. What was even more terrifying was that he seemed to know all the martial arts. At this moment, Long Tianjiao regretted a little. Why did he let you enter and leave the library at will? He wanted to buy your heart. In addition, you had no spiritual roots and couldn't practice. So Long Tianjiao didn't have any defense against him. The entire library was open to you. He never thought that you could reach the heavenly realm by reading books. You could also learn all the martial arts in the palace library by reading books. It was simply unbelievable. If all your martial arts came from the palace, then I'm sorry. Except for the method of becoming a saint by splitting your body, I know everything you know. I just don't know if you have learned it. Tiangang's staff, you said in a calm tone. Slowly raised your right hand and pinched it into a sword finger. A brilliant sword energy rushed into the sky and pierced through the clouds. In an instant, lightning and thunder flashed, and the wind and clouds were dense. It was like the end of the world. The giant sword emerged from the clouds. Lightning lingered around it. Even the heavenly sword could kill evil. Long Tianjiao's face was extremely gloomy. But the problem was that he had not learned the heavenly gap cover. Without the heavenly gap cover, what could he use to resist the heavenly sword? It was not good. The face of the holy son of Tianhuang changed drastically. If the Empress was killed, the luck of the empire would be hidden, waiting for the birth of a new emperor. But he had already planted the seed that could absorb luck into the Empress's body. If the Empress died, all his plans would fail. Your opponent is me. Li Shiking, one hand is frost, the other hand is fire. He slaps suddenly. Ice and fire merge. There is a loud explosion. The distracted son of heaven is blown away. A layer of golden armor appears on Long Tianjiao's body. At the same time, various powerful defensive weapons are continuously deployed. Layer upon layer. A sword is pointed downward and swung. The giant sword suddenly accelerates and falls. It suppresses the whole scene just like when Long Tianjiao used it before. As the giant sword falls on Long Tianjiao's head, the defense means of his subordinates are broken layer by layer. The powerful force even shakes him down from the air. The man half knelt on the ground. Long Tianjiao suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His defense, which he tried his best, was as fragile as a paper pot under the sword. Damn, it was impossible to stop it. For the first time, Long Tianjiao felt fear in his heart. You really want to kill me? You looked indifferent and said in a cold tone. You are going to kill me. I can't kill you yet. Do you think you can kill me like this? Long Tianjiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, Heavenly man who protects the country. A simple and ancient big top flew through the air and appeared in front of Long Tianjiao in an instant. Above his head, a huge black tortoise sword fell down, shattering all of Long Tianjiao's defenses. It stabbed the back of the black tortoise. The terrifying sword energy poured out in all directions. A red sword broke through the air, transformed into a red bird in the air, and hit the sky sword. The sky sword, which was said to be indestructible, had dense cracks. A silver war spear flew through the air, transformed into a white tiger, and hit the sky sword. With a crash, the already cracked sky sword shattered instantly. Who dared to kill him in Tianwu City? Insolent. As a majestic voice sounded, 4 people appeared in the sky above the palace. The big top and the silver spear returned to the man in Luoshai Lake in the north and the handsome man in the west. In the south, there was a beautiful and graceful woman in red holding a red bow with Suzaku engraved on both ends. In the east, there was a square-faced man carrying a blue dragon sword. When the 4 people appeared, they all looked at you in unison. Their eyes were like torches. The guardian of the country. Well, he is dead this time. The anxious Tianhuang saint saw. He immediately laughed up to the sky. The ancestors of the empire and the ancestors of the major holy places had a contract. Beings above the heavens were not allowed to interfere in the affairs of the empire. The heavens were the highest fighting force that could appear. And the 4 heavenly beings who protected the country were all 9th level heavenly beings. In addition, they held the magic weapons of the empire. If the 4 of them joined forces, they would definitely die. Sir, it was Li Shiking's turn to worry about him this time. But he was held back by the holy son of Tianhuang and had no time to split himself. You looked calm. You looked at the 4 heavenly beings who protected the country. Without any panic, Long Tianxiao, who was no longer suppressed by the heavenly sword, had anger and murderous intent in his eyes. I am giving you one last chance. Wear the hollow lock and stay to assist me. I can forgive you for what happened. Although he wanted to criticize you, after seeing your terrifying ability, he had a new plan. As long as you wear the hollow lock, even a celestial being will be controlled by him. If he can force you to surrender, he will get a celestial being with great strategies, and he is related to the saint of the Holy Land of Ice and Fire. Heavenly beings. This will be of great help to him in suppressing the reactionary forces in Zhuzhou and Bawang and crushing the irritating barbarian ants. He glanced at him and said lightly, do you think that with 4 more heavenly beings protecting the country, you can kill me? Counting the 5 heavenly beings in the battle, how can you resist? Long Tianjiao said coldly, his eyes were extremely cold. He admitted that he had misjudged you and underestimated you. But he now has 5 heavenly beings on his side. He doesn't believe that you can still turn the world upside down. What's wrong with fighting 1 against 5? You smiled indifferently, as calm and confident as ever. Long Tianjiao frowned slightly.